What's going on, guys? Antonio here. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up for me, and let's get into it. All right, so Ghostbusters Frozen Empire leads the box office with $45 million debut. I'm on Variety. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire ruled over the domestic box office and averaged on the higher end of expectations. The latest installment of Sony's supernatural comedy series has collected $45.2 million in its debut in 4,345 North American theaters. Earlier in the weekend, Frozen Empire looked like it would top out with 42 million, but estimates were revised up after a bigger than expected Sunday. At the international box office, the film ignited to a tepid 16.4 million from 25 markets for a global start of 61 million. Okay, so it didn't do as well internationally, because I saw another article that said Kung Fu Panda 4 did over 25 million in China, but they're even saying that didn't do as well as they hoped it would. They were hoping Kung Fu Panda was going to make, 30, 40 million, because we're just talking about the Chinese market, but this is 25 markets and it only did 16 million. But I went on Sunday and I watched Frozen Empire and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't as good as Ghostbusters Afterlife, but I still enjoyed the movie. I had a really positive experience watching it. It had some laughs in it. And I was really excited with what I saw, and they definitely want to do more movies. It seemed like they've left the window open where they can do more movies. Paul Rudd, in this picture here, you see Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon. I absolutely adore Carrie Coon. I've been a fan of hers since I saw her in The Leftovers. That was an old HBO show that got canceled. But I watched The Leftovers, and it did 3 seasons, and she was great on that. And then she was cast on the FX TV series Fargo, and she was great on that. And then she got cast as Proxima Midnight in the Avengers movies, and she didn't have as much screen time, but I understand her character had a lot of special effects, so it's probably very expensive to have her on the camera too much, so they just had her peppered in on a few scenes. They kind of did her like they do the Hulk. Like, if you see the Hulk, they'll have the actor that, just as Bruce Banner, then he has the Hulk out or whatever, So that kind of deal. So she was Proxima Midnight, but we didn't get as much of her as I would have liked, because when I heard that Carrie Coon was going to be Proxima Midnight, I got really excited. She was still good in it, but she just wasn't in as much as the movie as I was hoping. And then obviously she's on Gilded Age, and she's fantastic. Like, they just got renewed for another season. So I was like, Gilded Age on HBO is fantastic. So yeah, big fan of Carrie Coon. But I thought Afterlife was really good. When they decided, what was it, the 2016 Ghostbusters, the one that Paul Feig directed with Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, and Leslie Jones. They were in that movie. Oh, and Chris Hemsworth was in that one. That movie was awful, right? And I remember, what was it, a couple months ago, Leslie Jones, she put a book out a couple months ago, and she was doing all this press. And in her book, she talked about she felt Jason Reitman, who is Ivan Reitman's son, and he directed Ghostbusters Afterlife. He just executive produced Frozen Empire, but he directed Ghostbusters Afterlife, and he was a producer on the 2016 one, I guess, because of his father. His father, Dan Aykroyd, and Harold Ramis, they owned a percentage of Ghostbusters, because I remember there's an interview from a few years ago with Dan Aykroyd. And, him and Harold Ramis, and I think, what was it, John Belushi, they all worked together in Chicago at the Second City comedy troupe or whatever. They do that improv stuff. And that's where he met John Belushi and like Harold Ramis. And obviously, Dan Aykroyd went on to work on Saturday Night Live, and him and John Belushi became like best friends. And they did the Blues Brothers together. But if you know, Ghostbusters was, Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd were wanting to do Ghostbusters, and they wrote the character for John Belushi. And matter of fact, Harold Ramis said that it was going to be him, Harold Ramis, and they wanted Eddie Murphy to play, they wanted Eddie Murphy to play Winston. And then they were going to have, obviously, the character that Bill Murray played was going to be played by John Belushi. And then while, Dan Aykroyd was still writing the script for the original Ghostbusters, John Belushi, he overdosed and passed away, unfortunately. But that was what it was supposed to be. So I could only imagine what would have happened if Eddie Murphy couldn't do Ghostbusters because he had just taken the role in Beverly Hills Cop. So he couldn't do it, but he was going to do it because they had just done Trading Places together with him and Jamie Lee Curtis, and that movie was a hit. They were wanting to work together again. But that's why we didn't get Eddie Murphy as Winston in the original Ghostbusters. So a lot of stuff happened, but Jason Reitman, when he directed Ghostbusters Afterlife, he admitted that he understood, he was saying that they were giving the movie back to the fans, and they had kind of asked him about the 2016 Melissa McCarthy, Leslie Jones Ghostbusters movie, which, like I just said, was terrible, right? And he was like, hey, we just kind of want to reboot it and give the movies back to the fans. He wasn't saying nothing negative about Leslie Jones or whatever, but when Leslie Jones was putting her book out last year, she was talking about she felt Jason Reitman threw her under the bus and threw all the women that worked on the Ghostbusters movie under the bus. And she even put in her book that he was siding with all the sexists and racists that had sent her all this vile stuff. And let me say this. What Leslie Jones went through when they did the 2016 Ghostbusters, because I didn't like the movie, but obviously I wasn't sending her vile stuff. I wasn't trying to say nothing crazy to her or anything, right? But she said people were sending her people getting hung and all kind of weird stuff. And she definitely went through some stuff. But it's like, you just heard me say I didn't like the movie. I didn't attack anybody personally. I just thought the movie wasn't funny. I thought it wasn't good, right? So Jason acknowledging, hey, some of the fans were upset. We wanted to retool and start from scratch and kind of give the movie back to the fans. That's not Jason being a bad guy. It's like you see a lot of liberals go, everybody that's conservative is a racist. And I'm a conservative. So that's, what I'm saying? They always deal in absolutes. And so Jason going, hey, fans, we hear you guys. Hopefully you like Afterlife a little better than you like the reboot. So we want to deal with the fan service. We want to give you guys what you want. And, like I said, Leslie Jones, wrote about him in the book, and then he apologized and the whole deal. And I'm like, white people, when you don't do anything wrong, don't apologize. I'm going to tell you that right now. So like he apologized because she played the race card on him, and he apologized. He didn't direct Frozen Empire. He only executive produced it. And I saw Dan Aykroyd executive produced also. But like I said, he owns a piece of the Ghostbusters deal because he created it. And I don't know Harold Ramis's estate. I'm assuming they own a piece. I don't know if he had children or not, but because Bill Murray's in this, and they had all the original Ghostbusters that are alive appeared in the film. But like I said, I really enjoyed it. I thought Frozen Empire was good. If you caught it this weekend and you liked it or you didn't like it, get in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Give me a follow. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on X. I'm on Threads. All at Ikari Press. If you type in IkariPress.com, it will take you to my comic book brand, Way of the Gun. I got a link to my Gumroad in the description as well if you want to check out some of my other books. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out.